What's happening, y'all? Apologies for not uploading as much as I had been. My schedule has changed. Um, a lot of things happening in the background, things that, I'm just not that public about because it's my actual life. Things going on that are both good, but then other things that are not good. I don't, feel the need to speak about them because it would be very inappropriate. After all, this is the internet. Anyways, a bro of mine asked me a really good question, and I've actually been waiting to produce some content around this and give a good, solid, and consistent explanation. He asked about Luke 17. He wanted to know what I thought about it, what my take on it was. And the reason he was asking is because dispensationalists love to use Matthew 24, verses 36 through 41 as a rapture passage. They love to talk about the days of Noah. They love to quote verse 40. Then there will be two in the field. One will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding grain at the mill. One will be taken and one will be left. That verse is where we get the Left Behind series from. However, just like I've been saying, dispensationalists love to run to Matthew 24, and they only quote Matthew 24. They never look at Luke and see what his account says, because Luke's account contradicts a lot of what they build off of Matthew 24. So going to Luke 17, starting at verse 26, Jesus says, and just as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be also in the days of the Son of Man. Now, keep in mind, we're doing exegesis here. Who is speaking? Jesus is speaking. Jesus makes a statement. He says, just as it was in the days of Noah, so it will also be in the days of the Son of Man. What does he mean by this? Guess what? Jesus goes on to explain what he means by that statement. He says they were eating and they were drinking, marrying, being given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark and the flood came and destroyed them all. Who is they? They is the all who were destroyed in the flood. And what was the flood? The flood was judgment. The flood was judgment from God upon the earth. Noah was not taken. He was preserved through the flood. But guess who was taken? The wicked was taken. The wicked were taken in the flood. All who were left were taken in judgment. Next, Jesus says, it was the same as in the days of Lot. They were eating and drinking, they were buying, they were selling, they were planting, they were building. But on that day, on the day that Lot went out from Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Again, we're talking about judgment here. People carrying on with life, business as usual, life as usual, and then judgment came. What was the judgment? Fire, brimstone, raining down from heaven. Those who were left in the city, they were taken in judgment. Lot, his family was preserved through the judgment. They were told to leave the city. So they left the city. That's what Jesus is talking about. So after using those two illustrations, Jesus then says in verse 30, it will be just the same on the day that the Son of Man is revealed. Notice that. Jesus says on that day, the one who is on the housetop and whose goods are in the house must not go down to take them out. And likewise, the one who is in the field must not turn back. You guys, that connects us with the statements made in Matthew 24, verses 15, 16, 17, 18. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel or through Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, let the reader understand, then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get the things that out of the house. And whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his garment. Luke 21, verse 20. But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you know that its desolation is at hand. Then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those who are in the midst of the city must leave, and those who are in the countryside must not enter the city. Like, to be honest, I don't want to hear anybody who says, oh, there's good arguments on both sides of the spectrum is not being honest, and they don't even know themselves. And I've put too much time and energy and effort into the study of the book of Revelation, the study of eschatology, for somebody that, you feel me, for people that I know talking about, oh, well, people don't really know how to, you know what I'm saying, how to understand Revelation. Nobody has a good understanding. Well, guess what? I believe I do. And I believe that the scholars who I consult do as well. We have a more consistent view of the book of Revelation. Y'all just don't like it because you guys take a futurist view. And guess what? Futurist views don't do real exegesis, period. You can say what you want. You can believe what you want. But if you take a futurist view, this is an indication that you don't do exegesis and you don't know how to do exegesis. That's why you take a futurist view. Part of doing exegesis is taking a historical view of the book. As soon as you take a futurist perspective, a futurist view, you are doing eisegesis. That is exactly what you're doing. Period. Anyways, y'all, verse 32, back in Luke 17. Remember Lot's wife. Whoever seeks to keep his life will lose it. Whoever loses his life will preserve it. What happened to Lot's wife? Genesis 19, verse 15. Now at the breaking of dawn, the angels urged Lot, saying, get up, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be swept away. And the punishment of the city, judgment. Skipping down to verse 23. The sun had risen over the earth when Lot came to Zoar, and Yahweh rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from heaven, from Yahweh out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. Then his wife, whose wife? Lot's wife, from behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Lot's wife was taken. Lot was preserved. Lot and his daughters were preserved. His wife was taken, though. Taken in judgment. She was told not to look back, and she looked back anyway. So anyways, verse 34, I tell you, on that night, there will be 2 in bed, in one bed, one will be taken, the other will be left. This was just an illustration Jesus was using. This was not literally going to happen exactly to the T as he described it. He's using figures of speech, hyperbole, if you will. This is all in the context of the Son of Man coming against the city of Jerusalem and against the temple. There will be 2 women grinding grain at the same place. One will be taken, the other will be left. We know that's taken from the other Gospels. Verse 36 is not original, so I ain't got to defend that verse. Anyways, verse 37, in answering, they said to him, where, Lord? As in, where will these people be taken? That's what they're asking. And Jesus says to them, where the body is, there also the vultures will be gathered. Again, they're asking Jesus, where will these people be taken? Jesus says, where the vultures are gathered. And what do vultures do, y'all? Do y'all know what vultures do? They eat dead carcasses. That's what they do. So the people that are taken in judgment. They are taken and they are killed, and their bodies are eaten by vultures. This is not a rapture passage, and clear exegesis of the text would tell y'all that. But if you don't do exegesis and you just go off of what it sounds like based on the English text, these are the conclusions that you come to. Revelation 19 verses 20 and 21, and really even earlier than that, talks about the birds being gathered together to feast on the dead bodies of the kings of the earth that rebelled against Yahweh or rebelled against the Lamb. And that's even what we see here. You know what I'm saying? After the beast and the false prophet was seized, thrown into the lake of fire, it says in verse 21, the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sits on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. And really, the only birds that eat the flesh of human beings are vultures. That's what they do. They eat carcasses. That's what they do. Anyways, I know this ain't finna be a popular post, Most of y'all who are dispensationalists ain't even going to finish the video. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. But show me where I'm wrong. If you really think I'm wrong about all this, point it out. Demonstrate it. That is all.